If you are trying to sort out your meal planning routine and you keep getting stuck, here are three lists that I think can be helpful to anyone, no matter where they are in their meal planning routine. And these three lists are things that we use in our house all the time. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. One of the things that I think overwhelms people a lot, especially women, because we're generally more of the homemakers, caretakers, things like that, that are a lot of times cooking. And I know that's not the case for everybody. And for Tony and I, we actually do a fairly even balance of cooking. We go in spurts where I'll do most of the cooking and then he'll do a lot of the cooking. And then now we've kind of hit a flow where we do a lot of it together, and that's pretty much our routine that works really well for us, at least in this season of life, and I'm not gonna argue with it. Like, I think it is enjoyable, and if you are in a situation where you can make that work for your family to do it together, it is a very, good and I feel like it's also kind of a bonding thing because 'cause you're doing it as a team. I know that's not the case for everybody where you have the opportunity to be able to cook together because of schedules or just family situations and family dynamics, things like that. But if it's possible, it's definitely something to explore if you have not done it yet. But no matter what your meal planning situation is right now, whether you have not started meal planning at all or you are an avid meal planner, these three lists that I'm going to talk about today are actually super helpful even if you have no structure or tons of structure already. So you can make them work and you can listen to these. And if only one of them really resonates where you think that would be helpful, just take one. And hopefully it will inspire you to just make things easier because we always want to simplify meal planning, like creating meals and snacks and cooking and eating, like, it takes up a lot of our time. I mean, that is what is keeping us alive. So there is a big portion of our life that is consumed by food. And when we can simplify this process so it doesn't take so many decisions and we don't get so burned out trying to keep up with it at all, keep up with it all and also make all of these decisions, it just makes things flow smoother. We feel less overwhelmed. It doesn't stress us out as much, and our family knows what our plan is for meals, and it just makes everything so much simpler and hopefully will just make life a whole lot easier for you. So the first list that I want you to help you make your meal planning easier is a go-to meals list. Now, this can be wherever you want to hold it. It can be in the back of your calendar. I'll talk about that in a minute. It could be in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. It could be in your notes app. It could be in a binder with like you store with your cookbooks and you just write it down in handwriting. Like whatever works best for you, as organized or as unorganized as you want it. You can literally have it just one list that just continues to get added. You could alphabetize it, whatever works for your brain. You just want to have it in one place because this makes it really easy. And when we think of these go-to meals, these are like your staple meals. These are the meals that your family loves. So you could call it a family favorites list, you could call it staples list, you could call it, go-to meals list, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you just want one running list where all of your family's favorite meals and your backup meals can go. These are, a lot of people will do like the tacos, the spaghetti, the burrito bowls, some sort of casserole or hot dish, like anything that your family loves that is easy to put together. That is what is going on this list. And you might think, well, I don't need this kind of list because I know all of these and I don't need to write them down. But when you are planning out your menu and you are prepping for the week ahead, it makes it so much easier, especially if you have a busy life, that if you have a list and you can look at it and you can just scan that list and have things pop out at you where it's like, oh, we haven't had that for a while, or oh, that would be an easy meal because we're going to be pretty busy that day. It just allows you to have them written so that you can look and select and make it super simple rather than sitting there and looking at a blank menu board or a blank calendar and then just totally losing your train of thought and you don't know what to do. It's stressful. It can be really stressful if you are feeling overwhelmed already. So this is just simplifying it. And as you make more meals that your family really loves, this is a great time to just plug them onto that list so that you don't forget about them. Because how many times do we also create a meal and try a new recipe or something like that? And we absolutely love it, but then we're cooking other things. And then all of a sudden you go back and it's like, oh, we tried that one meal months ago and we totally forgot about it, but we really loved that. And so this allows you to just have this continuous list that makes meal planning super, super easy. The biggest thing is you want to just put them into one spot. So if it is in your notebook, then you want all of them to just get collected there. You don't want to have some in a notebook and some written down in your notes app and some put in a Google Drive and some put in, you know, a family cookbook, whatever whatever you're doing. Just write them all into one list, and then that way you can actually um, access it quickly, and it just makes it a lot simpler. If you have a family favorites list that has a lot of links, like maybe you don't know them off the top of your head, then a really good option actually might be to do a Google Sheet, because not only can you access a Google Sheet from anywhere because you can access it on your phone, you can do it on the computer, you can do it on, one of those tablets that you have in your kitchen. If you have the tech devices in your kitchen, you can access those things like a Google Sheet from there. But what's really cool is then you can also put them in like the name of the recipe in one column, and then in the second column you can plug in the link for that recipe if you have one, and then it allows you to alphabetize and you can sort and filter super super easy. And you can plug in tags if you want to categorize it, but that's getting a little bit more um, into the not necessarily advanced stage, but it does take a little bit more time and effort to create a list like that. But if you want to keep it super simple, like seriously, just grab a notebook and write it down by hand. What I had mentioned earlier is I use the back of our calendar. So I switched out. We have a wall hanging calendar. And if you haven't heard me talk about this in previous episodes, you can actually go and join our Facebook community. And when you join, you go to the top of the group, and we have an episode library pinned at the top of the group. And when you go in there, you can go and you use the search function and just type in meal planning, and it will highlight all of the meal planning episodes. And in some of those episodes, you will hear me talk about the calendar. But basically, we just have a super simple, plain wall calendar that we hang on the inside of one of our cabinets in the kitchen on a little 3M hook so it doesn't ruin the cabinets or anything like that. And it's not cluttering up the walls or anything because it's inside a cabinet. And then we have an erasable pen, which makes it super easy because you can adjust things as needed and it just slides right into the top and it stays hanging with that calendar. And we just write out our meals right in there. And it's so simple. It's almost stupid. It's just so easy. And that just keeps our menu organized for the week and it just makes it really easy to plan. So at the back of the calendar, I just flip all the months back and they usually have that blank page at the back. And I just have bunch of our favorite go-to meals written in there, and that's where I keep our list. So at the end of the year, when it's quiet over the holidays, I swapped it out and I did it on our new calendar. That's probably not the most efficient way to do it. It probably would have been smarter if I wanted to keep them on the calendar. Now that I'm thinking of it, I probably should have just put them on a piece of paper and then like taped it to the back of the calendar. So when I switch out the calendar, I can just remove that piece of paper and plug it into the next one because I do like having it with the calendar so I don't have to have all these extra things. So there's a little tip for you. If you do the wall hanging calendar like I do, that would be a really easy way to keep them with your list. Just plug it on a piece of paper, and that makes it super simple. So, number two list that you want to have is your meals you want to try. So, when you are building your meal planning, um, or you're building your meal plan, I can't talk today. When you are building your meal plan for the week, you can keep it to just your go to meals and keep it super simple because you know these, you know your family loves them, all the things. And that is just fine. But if you are the type of family that likes to try new recipes, this is where you'll have this second list. And these are the ones that maybe you see them on Pinterest, maybe you see them on Google, maybe a friend shared a recipe with you, maybe you saw them on Instagram or on Facebook or TikTok or wherever you're finding new recipes to try. This is where you collect this list. Now, we have tried several different things, and more often than not, we just end up having them in our feed, or not our feed, but in our like direct messages for my husband and I. We just share them in our direct messages because we don't really use Instagram or Facebook to like chat much. So if we send each other messages, it's usually like a recipe or something to try. So it's really easy to be able to just go and start scrolling in our messages and find all of these recipes that we wanted to try. So it's not the perfect method, but that's what's working for us right now. You can decide what works best for you. This would also be a really great time to do that Google Sheet if you want to take the extra time to organize it, where you can put the name of it and then the link to make it super easy. I did start something like that, and it was harder for me to keep up with it. I liked the idea of it, I just didn't maintain it. So I felt like I kind of got a little behind on it, and it's just easier for us to keep it in our messages. And if that's you, maybe having a single chat group with you and a significant other, or maybe it's just you in a chat thread that you can actually send it to yourself. And a lot of the, especially if you're doing it on like Facebook or Instagram, a lot of times you can actually just save the post. So you can save it, and then a lot of times you can create a list where it can organize it. So maybe you create a list that is dinners and snacks and, dressings and sauces, and just organize it that way. So when you see one you really want to try, you can save it to the correct list. So then when you're actually planning your meals and you want to try something new, you can go and open up that list and scroll through and see what you want to try that week and add that to your meal plan and make it super easy. The biggest thing is finding what works best for you to collect these new recipes or things that you want to try, and then just go from there. But as long as you know where to go to find it and you don't just get caught scrolling for something new, go to something you've already saved, because then you're going to waste a lot less time and it's something that you already wanted to try. And then your list number three is your staples shopping list. And I have talked about this one in the past for sure because I have talked about how much I love Google Keep. And this is like Google's version of like a notes app. And they have like a checklist box option that just makes it super easy to collect all of your staples. So we have one for Costco, we have one for Aldi, and we just have a template basically, and it just goes through everything that we would normally get from Costco or Aldi, and it has our staples. It has like the vegetables that we normally get, it has our pantry items we normally get, it has any freezer items or canned goods, anything like that that we want to or that we generally get from those places. So then when it's time to actually create a grocery list, I can go and just duplicate that list, and I have my whole grocery list already created, so I'm not recreating the wheel. And then I can just check off the things that I don't need really quickly. I can drag and drop and reorganize it based on what store I'm going into so that it's super organized, and I can do all the produce right at the beginning because that's what I walk into. And then I can save all the freezer meals or the freezer items for last because that is going to be at the end of the route around the store. And it just makes it so simple. And if you're already finding that you are writing the same things down on your grocery list every time you go, this is a really great way to do it. Now, if you're trying new recipes all the time and your grocery list is always super different, then this probably isn't super helpful for you. But if you do find that you're writing down a lot of the same things, just make like a master grocery list. And then that way you can just duplicate it, knock off what it doesn't need to be picked up, and you've got your grocery list, and then just add the few things that you need in addition to what is on your master list, and you've got a grocery list ready to go, and it's already organized and super easy. So those are the three lists that I think are really helpful when it comes to your meal planning routine. And I think you can use these no matter where you're at in your meal planning routine, and they all kind of work together. So if you have that super simple wall calendar to plan out your meals for the week, and you have your go-to meals list, you have your meals you want to try list, and then you have your staples shopping list, this makes it so much easier. So if you want to go and check out that episode library, to join the Facebook group, the links for everything that we have are in the show notes. Just go to the show notes and then scroll down, and you will see all those links to join the Facebook community. And then also, just for a note, we are coming up on 1 year and 100 episodes. Like, that seems so crazy to me, and it's so exciting. So I was wondering if you have any questions that you want me to answer on the show. I know sometimes I will just base an episode on a topic or a question that comes up, but I thought it'd be kind of fun if we have enough questions to do kind of a run through of questions and do kind of a Q&A on things that you maybe want a little bit more clarification on. Maybe it's something I haven't covered in our podcast. Maybe it's just some random question. It doesn't even have to necessarily be about habits and routines or our 5 foundational routines. If you want to ask, I mean, you can, it's open. You can ask me anything. And if I can't answer it, then I just won't answer it. But if I can answer it, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do that in one of the future episodes. So if you have a question that you would like me to answer on the show, then you can actually email us. And that is in the show notes, but it is theroutineadvantagepodcast@gmail.com. That is a great place to email us those questions, and we can try and put them into an episode for you in the future, since we are coming up on 100 episodes, which is so fun. And I so appreciate you being here and listening, because without you, we wouldn't have a podcast that is being listened to at all. So you make this worth it, and I love hearing from you guys, and it's just so appreciated. So a really quick recap on those 3 lists to help you that are key for simple meal planning is: number 1, your go-to meals list. Number 2, your meals you want to try. And number 3 is your staples shopping list or your master grocery list. And my favorite spot for that is Google Keep. But again, you can keep it wherever works best for you. Even if you're a paper and pen girly, you can just make one and then make a bunch of paper copies of it, and that can work too. So hopefully these were helpful for you, and happy meal planning. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.